You're on the other side.
Shh. I think his birthday's in November or December. He's going to be 5. And he's obviously a paint Stallion. He hasn't done very much. Same thing, he didn't change terribly well going to the right, and would quite happily hand around the circle disunited without too much trouble. So that tells me that I need a huge amount more hindquarter control to be able to get to the hindquarters. So rather than just going straight to the flying change work, I went back and started to really address his hindquarters. Sprinter in the country, and you have a bad day or an argument with your wife, you just aren't going to run that well. And we don't think about that with the horses because we don't know enough about it, basically, I reckon. But if I can train this bit, the body will follow. But I'm only interested in the brain because that's all I can address. So what I did when I decided that I wanted to teach flying changes was I went back and I started to address the shoulder control. So I need the shoulder control to be able to move the shoulder from one side to the other, and the hindquarter control. When I first taught this, I taught it on the ground. I taught it all in walk. It's really actually quite hard to teach stuff in walk after that initial thing because it's just not motivating enough. He can think about lots of other things in walk. So I pop him up to a jog, and I do a lot of training in jog, and you dressage people and say, it's not even a trot, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Train in whatever you've got the most stamina in. It doesn't really matter. What I want to do, in order to train a horse, I need to get the feet to move. I need to get the feet to move consistently, and then I need to take the feet where I want them to go, okay? If my getting the feet to move consistently, is a really good working trot, I'm going to have a lot of trouble taking the feet where I need them to go. If I can get him to do these movements in the jog, I'm going to have a lot more stamina. He's going to be able to concentrate better because he's not going to be so emotional. And I can get the quality of the pace easily later on, and that's what I'll do. I'm not going to be too concerned about the quality. If I can get him to do something in a jog, it's basically a trot. Next week he'll be doing it in a good working trot. So that's why I went first of all, and just made sure that I had sort of shoulder in, trevor and river on both sides, and I'll do it up and down the long side. So just so we could take your shoulders off the track. Bring your shoulders back to the track.
Yeah.
And then if we probably need to river really here. So obviously because it's quite happy to disunite, my main concern is his hindquarters. If I can get his hindquarters over this way, then if I can go straight, if I can move his hindquarters over that way, I can engage his hindquarters. So that means, I've got a ways and means of moving his hindquarters. If I can get his hindquarters to the right, I can pick up the right leg, yeah? Gait. all right, I was listening to somebody talking the other day, and they were saying that they've nearly got flying changes and they've just got like 2 strides of trot left. Well, that's difficult, isn't it? You know, because the problem is, flying changes aren't a trot movement, are they? You know, so you want to simplify it for the horse, but be careful that you are actually simplifying it for the horse and you're not just simplifying it for yourself. Yeah, you know, it makes more sense to me to go back to trot, change direction, put your bottom over there, and then take off again. Yeah, sure, it makes much more sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to him. And you know, I think this is one of those lessons where you've really got to teach it in the gait that it's supposed to be delivered in, because it is owning a canter movement. If you want to teach your horse to skip, teach flying changes through trot, because I've seen it done over and over again. And you can get down to that, I've got a stride or I've got half a stride behind, and the horse is just not doing a flying change. Same deal with teaching it over a pole. I think it's the same movement. Okay? What you can do with this is that if the horse disunites, if he doesn't change behind, let's say I'm cantering around to the left, and I ask him to change and canter right, and the hindquarter goes out there, I can pick up my left rein, go to that hindquarter and say, no, move your hindquarter to the right. But if I'm good, because I'm not always, he's going to go, if I'm good, he won't go back to trot. But if you can try and keep him under pressure, remember that negative reinforcement, if you can keep him under pressure until he does the right thing and then release the pressure and say, oh, you're brilliant, then he's going to get the idea, this is a canter movement, Try not to really cross with our horse about it. It's anticipation. Oh, he anticipates everything, he knows what I'm going to do. Well, just try and make it work for you, So if he's going to anticipate what you're doing, you say, make that pattern. It's great doing that horse, you say, pattern beautifully. And so if we can make what we think is going to anticipate into our pattern, then we're on the same track then. Okay, and on the subject of the reason I brought up anticipation was, I have spent the last 7 days starting Harry on this flying change exercise. And so when I move a bit in my seat, he starts to anticipate the flying change, okay? So, sometimes I'll just let him do that, sometimes I'll change him back. I did begin teaching this with the sort of canter hard part, and he began to anticipate that so much that I changed the exercise. So I was going like that to change to there. Which is quite a good exercise if you don't do it 7 days in a row. You can half pass back to the side and then change.
He's cute. Good boy.
Okay, so that's basically where we're using what we've got to in the last 7 days.